fighting to create
a nation free of hate.
Our United States.
Races integrate.
Redirect the team.
Resurrect the dream.
Elise and Asa too.
On Integration News.
Hey guys, it's Elise and Asa coming to you with the latest stories on the civil rights movement.
Today we will be talking about Malcolm X and his surprising feelings on integration.
I was really shocked when I first heard this story.
It was recently uncovered that when Malcolm X was alive, he was never actually for integration.
I am for integration. I mean, it's the new frontier. But it doesn't make sense that this black, famous face would not be.
It doesn't add up. He thought that all people should have rights, but yet did not want black and white people to come together.
Malcolm X also believed in more an aggressive approach, wanting to fight people who were against his beliefs, instead of informing them and working with them. I completely disagree.
I do too. I mean, after all, we're the United States.
Yeah,
We've been recently informed that Martin Luther King Jr. was just shot outside of his home in Memphis, Tennessee.
We'll be right back as we take this quick break.
We'll be back as soon as we have more information.
I love my hair, but with Cisa hairspray, I love it even more.
Because of my coarse hair, I couldn't find a hairspray that gave me volume but also kept my hair in place.
A while ago, it was hard to keep my thin hair in place. By the end of the day, my hair was limp and lifeless.
After we started using Cisa hairspray, we never had a bad hair day again.
That's right. Cisa hairspray is a one-of-a-kind hairspray formulated for all kinds of hair. You just spray it on and you're done. Cisa hairspray. Good hair days for all hair types.
And we're back.
Our top reporter, Sophia Starkey, is live outside of Martin Luther King's house in Memphis, Tennessee. Sophia, tell us what's happening. What's going on?
I'm Sophia Starkey, live at the scene where Martin Luther King Jr. just got shot. At 6:05 p.m. today, Martin Luther King was shot dead while standing on his balcony in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm here with Susan Gatewell, who was walking by when the horrific act happened. Susan, describe to me what you saw. Well, I was just walking my dog Tootie. Then all of a sudden I heard a big bang. Then I looked up and saw Dr. Martin Luther King dead. Even though I might not agree with everything Dr. King says about integration and stuff, no child of God deserves to die. So I heard you say you don't always agree with Martin Luther King. Can you tell me more? Well, I don't want these people, these black people, to be in school terrorizing my angels. Thank you, Susan.
Alright, a few hours later, I'm back with Carol Johnson, who also experienced the horrific act. Carol, what did you see?
I was out on my evening stroll and I heard a gunshot, and then I started running because I didn't want to get shot.
Now, Carol, do you support Martin Luther King?
I do support him. I think he is doing a fantastic job, and I believe everyone should be treated equally.
Alright, thank you, Carol. Now, please remember, we do not have all the information on the shooting. We will have further information by 4 p.m. today. Back to you, Elise and us, too.
There's a special person's birthday today. Who remembers Jimmy Lee Jackson?
I certainly do. Jimmy Lee was a black civil rights activist. Born in Alabama in 1938, Jimmy Lee became part of the civil rights movement as a young man.
His personality was always kind and respectful because of his Baptist religion. He was even a deacon.
Unlike Malcolm X, Jimmy Lee believed in integration and both black and white people having equal rights.
He was such a good man.
I know, he was.
Jimmy Lee Jackson was shot and killed by an Alabama state trooper in 1965. His death inspired a civil rights demonstration that led to the Voting Rights Act.
But recently, Jimmy Lee's mom came out and spoke about what actually happened that night.
Yes, she says that when the troopers came, they rushed a couple people into the room.
The people that we know for sure were there were Jimmy Lee, his mom, and his grandpa.
Once they were in the room, she says that they began to sexually assault her and the other women in the room.
Keep in mind that the state troopers were only there to control the protests, which wasn't actually needed because It was called the peaceful protest.
Jimmy's mom continues to explain that Jimmy began fighting against the troopers to save his mother. Right then was when they began severely beating him.
Since Jimmy continued to fight, that's when they shot him.
No one actually knew what happened to him in that room, but now you know, and you heard it first.
Jimmy wasn't shot but also beaten to death.
He died at the age of 26.
It's not fair that an innocent life was taken away, even though he wasn't doing the wrong thing. Hey guys, we're back. I took a quick wardrobe change while Elise is still taking a break. We are gonna move on with our next. You know what that sound means? It's mail time. Mail time is a special part in our show where we answer mail given to us by you through your fan mail. Bring in the mail. Thank you. The next question is from a Sophia Harescomer. She says, how did you guys meet? Well, Elise is better at telling this story. But the way I see it is that we met at a peaceful protest. Well, it wasn't necessarily peaceful because we got arrested together. And then we ended up in jail and we bonded. And then we decided that we would make a show about integration, how black and white people need to come together and be peaceful, just like we thought our protest was. The final question is from a Jake Nelson. He asks, what's your favorite song right now? Well, my favorite song right now is I'll Be There by the Jackson 5. I'll be there. And it is because that little Michael Jackson can sing. And his voice just gets my heart throbbing. I know he's 12, but, ooh, Lord Jesus. Now, time for Sarah's segment.
And we're back on Sarah's segment, your number one source for getting the latest news on the latest civil rights protests. Today we will be comparing this week's top political protests, and later we will actually attend a local protest live. This week has been a significant week and a very positive week as far as progress goes. There have been over 20 notable protests across the United States, some of which have even resulted in change for the better. America, I am pleased to say that integrating our nation day by day, slowly but surely, is happening. First off, this Monday, a boycott for integrated education took place at 1:30 in a school located in Montgomery, Alabama. Students Lynn and Jonathan Marshall, who are African American, were refused financial aid for their private school's high tuition rates. Red Oak High awards financial aid to 10% of their students annually, based on the incomes of the students' parents. Jonathan and Lynn applied for financial support. Instead, the tuition was reduced off of the receipts of other more financially privileged students who were part of the 10% of the school that is awarded financial aid per year. The 10%, that is mostly white. Well, evidently, after the Marshall siblings found out that they were not given the financial aid they had deserved, it was instead distributed amongst children with parents that made thousands of dollars more annually than the Marshall's parents. Students Lynn and Jonathan Marshall dropped out of their private high school. History. A constantly changing process of moments that shape our world. In order to change the rut that America has fallen in, we must stand up for ourselves, for our rights, for our freedom. It is up to us to take charge and demand equality. It is up to us to abandon our dark past and make our bright future by standing up to history.
Of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
took place this Thursday at the Charleston Public Library for having segregated drinking fountains. After nearly 5 hours of silently protesting for equal rights at the water fountains, Mr. Earl Sanders took a drink from the white drinking fountain. Although Sanders was taken to a holding cell straight from the library after he took a sip of white drinking water, his simple action broke the barrier of segregation in this library, and people of all races have been drinking out of whichever drinking fountain they please. Although we are still not certain of what ended up happening to Mr. Sanders, his simple act of bravery led to greater unity, and we honor him for his act of integration. Lastly, there was a protest occurring at the Pickens County Police Station in honor of Lewis Marion this Friday. Marion was the victim of a fatal shooting occurring last week on Main Street by police officer David Phillips. Although so far this protest has resulted in nothing significant, the South Carolina Department of Law Enforcement has been made aware of the police brutality that has took place last Friday, and the state has suspended Officer Phillips from serving from his position until further notice. Phillips will take part in a hearing next Tuesday, which will determine the fate of his career. As you can see, progress is being made. Today, there is word of a protest occurring at a middle school located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. After Northwest Middle's new principal recently gave a forced retirement to an African-American math teacher for no apparent reason, civil rights activists all over the state will take part in a peaceful protest for equal rights, jobs, and opportunities of teachers of all races.
I'm Sarah Hike, standing outside of Northwest Middle at a protest for integration and equal job opportunities for all.
My name is Sarah Hike from Immigration News. Can you tell me what's going on?
I'm marching for integration because my math teacher was fired.
Now, do you go to this school here?
Some of us do go to school here, and some of us come from far away. I personally do not.
My mama took me out of school after my math teacher got fired. She said we need to be the change we want to see in the world.
Our teacher, Miss McCoy, was brutally fired for the color of her skin.
Most everyone is familiar with Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr., who are one of the most famous civil rights activists in our time right now. However, what people don't know is that Rosa Parks did not usually agree with Martin Luther King on many issues.
In case you're unfamiliar with Rosa Parks, she is an African-American activist from Tuskegee, Atlanta, who is most famous for refusing to give up her seat to a white man on a public bus. In 1957, Parks and her husband moved to Hampton, Virginia, because she was receiving a lot of death threats in her home in Montgomery.
If that isn't juicy enough, Parks is also said to move because she didn't agree with Dr. King's plans to move the movement forward.
She was more Team Malcolm X, to say the least.
What a shame.
Now, Rosa was a lot more radical and a lot less peaceful than most of us realize.
Malcolm X has said some questionable things. That makes us wonder what his primary goal was.
How can we create a nation free of hate when, if someone puts a hand on you, send them to the cemetery is your main motto, as said by Malcolm X himself?
This is not the answer our nation needs.
Rosa and Malcolm, not that different.
I mean, with Martin Luther King out, or in critical condition to say the least, Parks needs to step it up and become one of the faces of our revolution.
Parks needs to think more practically to get what she wants.
I hope Martin Luther King is okay because we need a strong leader.